Especially in times of crisis, I imagine that this can actually be something beautiful to hear. That because if you look around yourself, maybe you see crisis everywhere. But then if you look inside yourself, you can connect to what gives you aliveness. You can get to connect to what's true for you. Another aspect that I believe is also important is that we can connect with one another on a universal level, finding connection and what we share as humans in others. I believe that I can only have great impact in the world in a positive way if I'm in contact with myself, like being resourced, being regulated, being in touch with yourself. For me is the foundation of then moving into the world and sharing your gifts and all the amazing ideas that you have. Welcome to today's Stream of Consciousness episode. Today I'll be sharing my perspective on the topic of your essence in times of crisis, finding strength within. I believe it's very important, especially in these times, to think about how we can find the strength within ourselves. So I'm really looking forward to this podcast episode. All right, let's get started. These times are full of crisis, actually. Crisis on all kinds of levels. We have crisis on a political level, environmental level, economical level, societal level. So basically, it feels sometimes to me that on all levels, we're screwed. And with this experience, I'm trying to ask myself time after time, how can I find the strength within? How can other people find the strength within themselves? How can we find the strength to continue on our path, to also collectively contribute to a beautiful world our hearts know is possible, as Charles Eisenstein says. So I hope in this episode to explore a little bit with you what that could look like and share with you my perspective on this and what supports me in finding the strength within. So there are a couple of ways to go about this. And I like to look at it from this framework of the circle of influence and the circle of concern. So the circle of concern is basically a circle in which you can write all the things that you're concerned about. And this could be the tiniest things like, I don't have any more vegetables in the fridge, or I don't have sufficient money in my bank account, or the climate is changing dramatically in ways I don't like it to change. And we have these political crises and so on and so forth. So you get the game, you get the idea. You just write down everything that you're concerned about. And then if we just spend and invest our time and energy in focusing on the stuff we're concerned about, but we can't change, we're going to drive completely crazy and nuts. So if I only think about the great big issues on this planet, which I can't actually influence so much, it just leaves me depressed and paralyzed. So instead, what I like to do is I like to focus on the things that I'm concerned about and that are within my circle of influence. That supports me in feeling that I can actually have agency, that I can contribute to a beautiful change and transformation, and that I don't feel completely overwhelmed and paralyzed by seeing the things that I can change and also don't like. So this is for me one approach that supports me in finding strength within, focusing on the things that I can influence and that I am concerned about. Second approach is related to that, reducing the time I spend investing my energy on things I'm concerned about, but I can change. And that for me is like this very fine line, for example, in watching the news or being up to date and informed about what's going on in the world. On the one side, it's super important to be up to date and to know what's happening in the world and not to completely blindfold our eyes and try to live in this dream dream place which is completely disconnected from society. And at the same time, I also don't think that it's healthy to be consuming news from dusk till dawn, because that just increases the amount of things I'm concerned about, but I can't change. So this is consciously choosing what you consume. This applies to news as well, to food, as well as to relationships, and so on and so forth. And that also supports me in finding the strength within in these times of crisis. And then another aspect and approach that I like to follow is try to feel into myself and what is nourishing for me in this moment. Because I believe that I can only have great impact in the world in a positive way if I'm in contact with myself, if I'm balanced, and if I'm resourced. I see so many social entrepreneurs with the best intentions for this planet, for humanity, for everyone, but that find themselves rapidly burning out because they don't seem to be connected with their energy source and not taking care of it sufficiently. Like being resourced, being regulated, being in touch with yourself, for me, is the foundation of then moving into the world and sharing your gifts and all the amazing ideas that you have. It needs both. Because at the same time, some people say, well, we just need to meditate all day long and then all problems will be solved. Kind of, if everyone would do that, probably yes. But there are some other people that are now choosing to harm society, humans, our planet. And there needs to be action taken by others. So the monk sitting just by himself on the top of the mountain is beautiful. And I think even more beautiful, and that's my personal opinion, is from this place of connectedness with yourself, acting also in a way. For example, right now, what I'm doing here is my attempt in contributing from a place that feels balanced and open and grounded, contributing to the world and sharing what I'm sharing right now with you. So that's how I try to find also the balance. So strength within comes for me from standing on a strong foundation and then going out into the world and investing and focusing my energy on things that I can influence, that are within my circle of influence. And in these times of crisis, I believe that there are so many other things that can support us in connecting with our strength. And that could be, for example, nourishing relationships, spending time with people in a way that you feel that really nourishes you. So not hanging on social media, hanging out there for hours and hours and hours and hours and doom scrolling, because that might feel on a superficial level like it's contributing to a relationship. And at the same time, I believe that there are many other ways how you can meet other people that are way more nourishing, more authentic, deeper, meaningful, lighter, more joyful, and so on and so forth. So, nourishing relationships, I believe, is another important factor that can contribute to finding the strength within. And then also, simple things that humanity kind of forgot as movement. Movement definitely can support in finding strength. It could mean doing sports, but it could also mean just going for a walk, just moving, riding around with your bicycle. Because when we are so concerned with all the problems of the world and we don't move, it's just like stuck energy, it's so heavy and dense. But if we then move, if we dance, if we walk, if we drive around with a bicycle, then this energy can move and can process. And then I believe also more easily transform itself into fuel for action for good. So movement, beautiful and simple other way to find the strength within. Everything basically that connects you with yourself and depending on your channel of choice. That could be music, could be art. I already mentioned dance. It can be expressive writing. There's so many ways. So connecting with your essence can support you in finding the strength within. And I've spent personally many years trying to look outside of myself for the answer, for the solution, for the safe haven, for the anchor. And over the last couple of years, I've been realizing more and more that this, like what they write on calendars, that we find peace within. We find our deepest longings and our deepest fulfillment inside of ourselves. It's not so much about searching outside in the world for the answers, for someone else to give you what you need. It's so much about finding this inside of ourselves. And especially in times of crisis, I imagine that this can actually be something beautiful to hear. That because if you look around yourself, maybe you see crisis everywhere. But then if you look inside yourself, you can connect to what gives you aliveness. You can get to connect to what's true for you. And that's why I just deeply, like wholeheartedly invite you onto this path, like connecting with yourself. That could be movement or self-expression in other ways. Finding strength within. And another aspect that I believe is also important is that we can connect with one another on a universal level, finding connection and what we share as humans in others. That means that you can, for example, look around you and look in the eyes of other people, knowing that they also have dreams. They also have longings. They also have needs that they want to meet. They also have the desire to be free. They also have the desire for connection. And we all share that. Even if we look around the world and some people seem to be contributing to the opposite, I believe deeply inside that everyone has these core needs. And some trying to meet them just in a very weird way that I don't understand. And I also don't like it. Doesn't mean just because I understand where that might come from that I like and support the actions. No, not at all. But I believe that we all share these needs, these universal needs and desires and longings and wishings. And that gives me personally a lot of strength within. Also knowing that out there are other people that are contributing in their way to this beautiful world our hearts know is possible, that are contributing to a transformation, to a shift into a world where we humans can meet more with more love and connection and openness. I know that there are so many out there, and maybe I'm talking right now to you, and you are contributing in your unique way to this transformation into this world. And I just invite you to step onto this path a little bit more, to live your essence, to share it with the world, and to do that in a way that you feel connected to yourself, that feels regenerative, where you feel resourced. And then you can design a life where you feel like in this dynamic balance of sharing with the world and meeting your own needs and longings and desires, sharing with the world, coming back to yourself again. It's like this dance of life, going back and forth in connection with yourself, with others, with nature. So I hope that this is inspiring for you, that you can find the strength within and that you can live your essence, even or especially in these times of crisis. Because I believe now is the most important moment. Now is the moment for you to live your essence. And now the path is there. You just need to make one step. I really enjoyed this episode. I hope you also enjoyed it. I hope that you find it inspiring, that you can take something with you on your personal path to live your essence. And looking forward to connecting with you in the next episode of Essence.